So it looks like we are on again online. I don't know whether you had to shift over from the old one to the new one. So only you can figure out, but apparently we are back on again. So let's continue on. Bhadram no api vataya manaha Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Bhadram karnebhihi shrunuyama devaah Bhadram pashyema akshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistuštuvagum sastanubhihi Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu Swasti na indro vriddhashravah Swasti nः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तगुंहदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यानस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात्कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकम् असत्कल्पार्थकं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयत्याश्रितान् यत्साक्षात्करणाद् भवेन्न पुनरावृत्तिर्भवाम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नानाच्छिद्रघटोदरस्थितमहादीपप्रभाभास्वरं ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरणद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तमनुभात्येतत्समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियानपि चलां बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः स्त्रीबालान्धजडोपमास्त्वमिति भ्रान्ताभृशं वादिनः मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमहाव्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। So now we enter the Brahma Sutra with the first sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So, the first four sutras are remarkable for lots of reasons, but one of them is that each sutra itself is an adhikaranam. It's a complete adhikaranam for the sutra. Now that does not happen for the later sutras. So later sutras will have multiple adhikaranas for each sutra. May have. Some of them have 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So they are, adhikarana means topics, as we have seen before. So there will be separate topics within one sutra. But in the first four sutra, each sutra is one topic. So in the first sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, and we will explain the meaning a little bit later on, this is called Jigyasa Adhikaranam. The topic of the first sutra is Jigyasa. What is Jigyasa? Jigyasa is Sannanta. It's a grammatical construct which intensifies the action. Intensifies. It means something which is really desirable. So Jigyasa here means Gyatumichha, the desire to know. Desire to know what? Brahma. Brahman. And so the desire to know Brahman is something which is very intensified. It is not casual. Not casual. So, so for example, supposing, I'm just taking up one example. Supposing you are living in Mexico, and there is not much going on in the village and so on, and somehow the idea came up that I think we should emigrate to United States because there is more jobs available, life is a little better and so on. So this can grow into a passion for moving to the US. And it could be by hook or by crook. It could be, if you can do it legally, wonderful. Otherwise, you somehow slip through and go in, and then you establish your life. So that intense desire. So there the intensity of the desire is not casual. It is something where you really think about it, do things about it, base your life around it, all about emigrating to the US. So this is what the sense of the jigyasa is. And so the desire to know Brahma is the name of the adhikarana. That's the topic, the desire. Okay, so this is one thing. Now, the first sutra is itself a rather remarkable one because, for the following reason, it is a door to the study of Brahman, which is the self. It is a door to it. And so, a door meaning what? If you look at a door, is the door outside or is it inside? It's neither outside nor inside. In fact, it is the entry from the outside to the inside. So the first sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, is like that. So in the sense that the rest of the Brahma Sutras from number 2 onwards to 555 are within the school of learning. As we saw, this is really just like a medical school. It's a spiritual school, very, very detailed, very specific, very elaborate school of learning. So it's like, you are, this is a good way to look at it. Supposing you are to get yourself admitted to University of California, Berkeley. I studiously avoid Stanford because I went to Berkeley, and so did my son. And so my daughter-in-law went to Stanford. So we always have this this conflict, not a conflict, but some discussion going on. And so I usually give examples of Stanford, but let me give the example of my own alma mater, which is UC Berkeley, which is I did my master's in computer science back in '65. Now it was interesting. Some of my friends from Stanford, in fact, one of my best friends, Mohan Vachani, that I befriended when I was living in Palo Alto, his daughter and my son got married. So we started out as friends, and now we have become family connections. So we used to have this discussion, and so the general thinking was that getting into Stanford is very difficult, but getting out of Stanford with a good B plus is very easy. Berkeley is just the opposite, relatively speaking. It's not easy to get into Berkeley in these days. In those days, it was much easier. Getting into Berkeley is easier. Securing high marks in Berkeley are very difficult. So anyway, so this is a good analogy. Suppose you apply to Berkeley. So now you will have some qualifications necessary on how to get into Berkeley. And there is a lot of things involved. They have to review your academic record, etc., etc. But then once you are in, you are in. You are really now studying, you've been accepted as a student. So the first sutra is the entry to the study of Brahman. It's a door. And so it is all about the school, of course, because the eligibility for going to the school depends upon the characteristics of the school. So of course it has to do with the entry to the schooling. But it also has to do with your preparation, where you are in your life. Because not everybody can go to Berkeley. You cannot just walk off of a high school and say, okay, I had a hard time passing, but I think I want to go to college. You're not going to be able to do that. So there is a certain sense of adhikaritvam which is required. So the first sutra talks about the adhikaritvam, mostly adhikaritvam. So we will see that now. Now, in fact, on that topic, any shastra, introduction to any shastra, should have 4 factors. So this is what is called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Anubandha means one which is badhnoti, one which is connected, so pertaining to. Chatushtaya means 4-fold. So those are adhikari, which is eligibility. The second one is vishaya. What is this subject why are you, so supposing you go to medical college, leave aside Berkeley for a minute, supposing you go to the medical school. So the adhikaritvam is your ability to understand what your study is all going to be about. The second one is Vishaya, which is what is the topic. The topic here is to become a doctor, a physician. Then the third one is Prayojanam. So Prayojanam means what is the result. And the result in that case would be that you become a very competent doctor, able to see all the ills of the body, etc., and the mind. So this is the Prayojanam. And the fourth one is Sambandha. So Sambandha means what is the connection between all these things. So what that of course means is that I am dedicated to learning how to be a doctor, and once my dedication flowers, then I can now become a full-fledged physician and ready to solve serious problems that people come to with me. This is the Sambandha. So now let's look at the adhikaritvam for understanding the self. Adhikaritvam for understanding the self, which is Brahman. Because there's some confusion about this. I'm not quite able to make it up. And in fact, I live a life of really kind of like a dream-like life. It is not real. I want reality. I want some stability, and I want freedom. This is what I want. And now, okay, so that's what you want. Now the question is, how are you going to get there? Because there are some things involved about your own mistake about yourself. So the adhikaritva means that somehow you have to become eligible to understand the reality about yourself. And those are, this is called sadhana chatushtaya. So the sadhana chatushtaya, and by the way, this is all the topic of the first sutra. So the first sutra is all about you should now desire to know Brahma. When should you desire? That we will talk about. Atha ataha. So the atha shabda will be thereafter. Thereafter what? Thereafter acquiring the qualities of an adhikari. What are the qualities of the adhikari? Viveka, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti and Mumukshutvam. This is what is talked about. It is implied, it is talked about in the first sutra. That's what Shankara Bhashya is all about. So the Shankara Bhashya is to convert the sutra into an understandable, firm, clear idea of what it means. So we have talked about it before, that the sutras are like the machine language. And machine languages are 100111010, just binary. All the machines learn binaries. But the user interface makes it easier for you to translate your language into a code which can be translated into the machine language. So in that manner, the commentaries of the acharyas are like the user interface, but they all have to translate into. This is the other way around. You look at the machine language, and then you now expand it to make sure that it is understandable. So this is what it is. The Yathato Brahma Jigyasa is to say what is the eligibility, and those are Viveka, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti, sixfold gunas. Shatka Sampatti means wealth, sixfold wealth, and Mumukshutvam. Now we can even start with the last one, Mumukshutvam. It means an intense desire to be free. An intense desire to be free is mumukshutva. That also is a sananta. Moktumichha is mumuksha. And moktumichuhu, the one who desires, is called mumukshu. So mumukshutva means the one which really wants this. It is like you've made, just like emigrating to the US, your whole life is unsuccessful. It is all goal-oriented. That is the goal. So similarly here, the mokshutva means a goal of being free in this life. I want to really understand what it is all about. Mumukshutva. So Viveka Vairagya and Shatka Sampatti is, we have already talked about it quite a bit, so I won't really do very much. But so Viveka here means Satya, Asatya, Viveka. The discrimination between what is true and what is not true. Because it's all mixed up. So we'll be able to separate them is what is called Viveka. And so it has various aspects of it. One of them is Preyas and Shreyas, as in the Kathopanishad says, also in also other places also. So Preyas means what is good, and Preyas means what is pleasant, and Shreyas means what is good. So Preyas means something that you just enjoy for the time being, but has no lasting value. Shreyas means something that you invest in, and it may not give you immediate pleasure, but if you persist with it, this is the way to go. Will give you lasting happiness. So the Viveka between Preyas and Shreyas is also part of the whole thing. It's all similar to each other. Then comes Vairagya, which is dispassion. Here, Swami Paramarthananda has given a very beautiful explanation of this. So he says, dispassion means seeing something as a means to an end, not an end to itself. And he gives an example of money. Beautiful example. He says that a passion versus dispassion, lack of vairagya and vairagya for money. Let's look at that example. So if you look at money as an end in itself, it is not vairagya. But if you look upon the money as a means to an end, then it is vairagya. Beautiful example. Something we can all relate to. If you are just worried about money, I don't have enough, I want some more, then you forget about the fact that the money is supposed to give you something else which is more lasting. And if you don't understand it, and even if you do understand it, if you don't live a life like that, if you are a slave to money, rather than as a master of the money is a means, that means you are dispassionate. That is the vairagya. So very similar to that is the situation is that we find that life gives you a lot of opportunities for transactions, for giving you momentary happiness, some security and all that. But if you stop at that point and say this is all there is nothing else, it is exactly like not seeing the means to an end. So the world is a means to an end. And what is the end? It is utmost freedom in my own life. And so in that manner, you don't do the vyavaharika sat, the vyavahara in your life as a means to obtain freedom to yourself, but you get caught up in the very conduct of the life itself. This is vairagya. Then the shatka sampatti, which is, as you know, shama, which is the control of the mind, dhamma, the control of the senses, uparamaha, and uparamaha means a deliberate reduction of useless activities, because they have taken your life as for granted and you are finding it hard to get rid of it. But it can only be done if you resolve, I'm not going to waste my time. I want to really do something which is lasting for me. See, this is called uparama. Titiksha. So titiksha means there is certain ability to withstand problems. So first time that when this happens, your mind is going to say, what are you doing? Just enjoy, go watch movies and just have fun. What is this Vedanta business? I don't understand. Why are you committing yourself? Have you seen any results from Vedanta? And so your buddhi says, no, we haven't seen it. See, I told you. You have no results from Vedanta, so just enjoy. And so if you withdraw from it, there will be some dukkha. And even otherwise, anytime there is some kind of a problem, if you say it's too hot, too cold, but to withstand the variations of things that affect you is called titiksha. Then shraddha. So shraddha means that, and so this is we're going to talk about in the next class a lot in the Bhagavad Gita of summarizing chapter 7. So shraddha here means jnana purvaka shraddha, not blind faith, but a understanding that this is in fact the right thing for me to do is shraddha. And so here means Vedanta, Guru, Ishvara, all of those kinds of a shraddha towards it is called shraddha. And the last one is samadhanam. And so samadhanam really means commitment. Do not lose sight of the goal. That's what. And the fourth one we saw, so viveka, vairagya, shukka sampatti and mumukshutva. Okay. So I think we may have talked about this before. I'm just going to make sure that I think we may have talked about this before. So anyway, I would say that each sutra we will discuss it in 4 segments. So the first segment is a general analysis of the sutra, which is what we are doing now. This will continue, will become a little bit more elaborate. So that's called a general analysis of the sutra. The second segment will be pulling the words of the sutra apart and understanding the importance of why each word is there for it. So a word analysis, not just a general analysis. Of course, these are all related. We're not going to completely change topics in the middle. But the understanding of a sutra will have 4 segments. One is a general analysis, the other one is a word analysis, the third one is a summary. And the fourth one we will do is to go into Shankara Bhashya, Shankarasya Shankaram. Pertaining to Sri Shankara is called Shankara. So either words are okay. So we're going to look at Bhashya as we did in the in the introduction up to this point, where we looked at the Bhashya of Shankara. And this is meant for the more serious students who have studied Sanskritam. And I will not go through all of the Bhashya. That may be a bit too much, but I will go through some key ones and I'll send you the text for it. Right now we are not doing it, so you don't need it. So here I'll show you. So the first sutra has this much of the Sanskrit text, 2 pages. And by the way, this I got from, of course it's available in many books, but not in a nice printed form. And I got this from someone who had given me this reference. So the IIT in Kanpur has actually published the manuscripts of Vedanta very well. And so this is from the IIT Kanpur. So here, Jigyasa Adhikaranam Atra Atashabdaha Anantaryarthaha Parigrihyate Nadhikararthaha Brahma Jigyasayaha Anadhikaryat. Anyway, I won't go through all of that. We will do that. That is the 4th segment. And so all those 4 segments will now solidify our understanding of a sutra. So this is what I intend to follow in terms of the structure. Okay. So we already did the 4 things were adhikari, vishaya, prayojanam and sambandha, right? So we did the adhikari already. Viveka, vairagya, shatka sampatti. One that has these qualifications is the one who should now resolve to study Brahman. If you feel you don't yet have it, then please build your qualifications so you can be ready. Otherwise, what will happen is that it's kind of like entering into UC Berkeley in these graduate courses. You say, no, I want to do it. And so the professor says, really, you are not qualified. You won't get much out of it. No, I think I'm okay. Nothing will happen. You'll get bored. So anyway, so that is the adhikaritvam. Then the second factor is the vishaya. So what is the vishaya for Brahma Sutras? And in fact, the very first sutra, or all the sutras, doesn't matter, it's the same vishaya. What is the vishaya? The vishaya is a new status for the jiva. The new status of jiva is you are not a limited human being. You have the same swarupa as the swarupa of Ishvara. Excuse me. So the sense of samsara is gone. You may be moving around, that's a different thing altogether. We're not talking about this. Not like though you are just now, that's a wrong way for us to look at it, that once you understand, this is so-called realized people, that they remove themselves from the world as though the world is really bothering them and they are in their own world, enjoying their own nature and so on and so forth. This is the sadhu. This is the wrong impression. Really, the impression should be that all of a sudden the same things that look like limitations to you are no longer a limitation. You're no longer a room space, you become the total space while you continue to act as a room space. This is the new status. This is the Vishaya. In effect, what it means is, in technical terms, Atmanaha Brahmatvam Apnoti. Atmanaha Brahmatvam Apnoti. What does it mean? It means that the Jivatma means that I am a conscious being. But my conscious beingness is surrounded by my body-mind complex. So this is what is called Jivatma. This is the Jiva part of the Atma. I am conscious, all right, I am an Atma. But I am a kind of like a limited Atma. I am a limited conscious being. I can move like this and this, but I am here. This is what is called the Jivatma. It's called Atmanaha. But the Atmanaha Brahmatva means you are indeed a conscious being, but not a limited conscious being. And so this is what is called the identity of Atma and Brahma. This I don't have yet. I don't have the ability to know this. So what does it mean? The qualities of Brahman is Sarva Vyapaka. So that means if you understand this identity, you will no longer feel, I am here now at this point. Then what will you feel? You will feel, I am. At all times, at all places. Jivatma means that I was born at a particular time. Brahmatma, Paramatma means I was never born. I have always been there. Jivatma means that you are subject to external shocks, external inputs. Paramatma means I am independent of it. So that I don't have yet. So this is the Vishaya. The Vishaya is, so really essentially speaking, this is what we say, Jiveshwara Aikyam, the identity. So identity meaning you cannot have an identity of the gunas, but the swarupa of the two will become very apparent. So this is the Vishaya. Okay. Then, and that being the Vishaya, that is also the Prayojanam. So the Prayojanam is that I really obtain independent freedom. Swatasiddhatvam, that I am self-existing. I don't really need any help. So this is what the knowledge of Brahman, this is what the Aikyam between Jiva and Ishvara will provide. This is the Prayojanam. Moksha, freedom. Anyway, we'll go through all of that. Then, the fourth factor is the Sambandha. Sambandha between Vishaya and Prayojanam. What is the connection? So this is what is called Pratipadya Pratipadaka Sambandha. So Pratipadya means one which is understandable, one which is understood, the meaning. And that means that Brahma, my status as a Brahman, is revealed to me. And Pratipadaka means it is the Upanishad which is the revealer. Pratipadya Pratipadika. Upanishad, in fact the entire Shastra, is the revealer and the Brahma is the revealed. Pratipadya Pratipadika. This is the Sambandha. Brahma Sutra is the revealer and Brahma is the revealed. Here one thing to look at, this is interesting to ponder over, and that is, who is a guru? What is a guru? What is a guru and who is a guru? So we often chant this Andhakaras nirodhitvat guru ityavidhiyate. The one that removes the darkness is called a guru. So here we should understand this. This person who is talking to you is called a guru. But really speaking, he or she is not the real guru. That is just what's called a proxy guru. You know, a proxy guru, a proxy, means that for the time being, it is to be considered a guru. But who is a real, it's not a real guru. Who is a real guru? What is a real guru? The real guru, as the definition says, Gukarastva Andhakaro Vai. One which removes your darkness about yourself is the guru. And what is that? That is Atma Jnanam is the guru. So the person talking about it may be helping you to reveal that Atma Jnanam. So you give him the proxy status of a guru. But the real guru is Atma Jnanam. Because until you have Atma Jnanam, until you have the clear identity between Atma and Brahman, you are not free. You are still tied. Your vision is still that of a samsari. But to really free yourself from the samsara requires a clear Atma Jnana. That is the real guru. It should be kept in mind. So here Swami Paramarthananda points out, it's at 8:48, yeah, we have plenty of time. Okay, so one thing to be kept in mind, and we're going to go through this in more detail later on, that this sketching of the adhikaritvam, etc., is not specifically talked about in the first sutra, but it is an implied meaning of the sutra. Implied meaning of the sutra. That means the right preparation, the right background to the life is important for you to have the desire to know the Brahman. How do we know this? So we say that in various shastra this is all talked about. So for example, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, third Valli, first Bhaga, Bhrigu Varuni is going on. tat vijigyasasva. So, means jigyasa is pointed out, that you should look into that. Chandogya Upanishad also first mantra, Atma apahata papma etc. satyakamaha saha vijigyasitavyaha. It should be known. Brihad Upanishad in the Maitreyi Brahmana, it says Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. As you know, in the case of so here when this rishi was leaving his wife Maitreyi and says that I am leaving you with all my possessions and I am taking sannyasa. So she says, why are you taking sannyasa? Because is it that I have a lot of respect for you, and if you are taking sannyasa, that means that the sannyasa is better than this life, isn't it? How is that? Can you explain that to me? So he explains that to Maitreyi, and as part of that teaching, it says that please understand that your fundamental love is towards the Atma, not towards the Anatma. Everything that you have in your life is really Anatma, and it looks like you love something else, but if you dive into it and look at the insight into it, you will find underneath it is a love for the Atma itself, not for the Anatma. So may you please know it. Go for the real stuff. Don't go for the fluff. Go for the bimba, not for the pratibimba. So that talks about in the Brihadopanika also. So now one other thing that is added to this first sutra is should be done. So athato Brahma Jigyasa is implied and implies the addition of a suffix called kartavya. Kartavya means it should be done. So tavya pratyaya in Sanskritam, which is the language of the Shastra, tavya pratyaya means should be done. It should be done. Kartavya, shrotavya, nididhyasitavya. It should be listened to. It should be pondered over. It should be done. And so, the true meaning of the first sutra will be athato Brahma Jigyasa Kartavya. And so, Jigyasa Kartavya means how? How am I going to know Brahman? It means with the help of the Shastra, you have to do some thinking. So, the first sutra should be replaced by the following. Not replaced, but it should be expanded to look at the following. Athato, we will look at the word athato later, means thereafter, therefore. So athato means atha and ataha. Atha means thereafter. Thereafter means what? The prior preparation of your life. Ataha means therefore. So all these words will be looked at in more detail later on. So leave aside those two words, athato. It means Vedanta Shastra Vicharaha Kartavyaha. So Athato Brahma Jigyasa should morph into, it should morph into Vedanta Shastra Vichara Kartavya. You should look into and think about and digest. Vichara Kartavya means what? It doesn't say just do adhyayana. Don't just listen, look at it and do some chanting or anything. In fact, Shravanam is, here I think this is a good example, that Shravanam is like eating and Mananam and Nididhyasanam are like digesting. So here Vichara Kartavya means may you eat but have the ability to digest. If you eat without the ability to digest, it won't do any good to you. So this is the real meaning of the first sutra. Vedanta Shastra Vicharaha Kartavyaha. So it just means Vedanta Vakya Shastra Vichara Arambhaniyam. May you now enter the rest of the sutras. May you now enter this school of learning, having prepared yourself for the ability to adequately get the benefits from this learning. This is the meaning of the first sutra. Okay? Alright, so this is the first segment, which is a general analysis. Now let us look at the second segment, which is the word analysis. So, let us look at the first word. So we will do this in sequence. So, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So first we will look at the word Atha, then Ataha, then Brahma, then Jigyasa. So we've had a general introduction. Now let's look at each word. So the first word is Atha. Atha means, what does really Atha mean? So now we have an analysis of the word Atha. What can it mean? A lot of people will say this means this. Like for example, we saw Atha Shabda was in the in our chanting. We saw Omkarascha Atha Shabdascha Dvavetau Brahmanah Pura Kantham Bhitva Viniryatau Tasmat Mangilikau Vabha. Om Atha. So some people will say the Atha here should be Mangalikau Bhav. They are Mangala Vakya. So Atha means that it is in the very beginning and therefore it is a blessing by Ishvara. And let that be the Artha. There is no other meaning for it. Atha Shabda also means thereafter. Which is the right meaning? This is what has to be analyzed, and this is what Sri Shankaracharya does. In fact, I'll just steal the first three words from his commentary. He says, Atra, in this place, Atha Shabdaha Anantaryarthaha Pratigrihyate. We'll go into this more detail, but it says, let the Shabda of Atha means Anantaryam. Anantaryam means what? We've already now covered it. Having covered a lot of ground in your life, may you now have the desire to know the Brahman. So here are various shastras that give this advice. Perhaps the most clear one and the most specific one is from the Mundaka Upanishad, and this is which is a mantra that should be studied in great detail. So we have already talked about it many times. And Swami Paramatmanandaji, when he was here 2 years ago, he spoke on this verse. He says, Pariksha lokan karmachitam ayat brahmanaha nasti akritaha kritena tat vijnana artham gurumeva vigachet shotriyam brahmanishtam. This is the same shastra that talks about the athartha. Thereafter, it says pariksha lokan karmachitan. So it says that when you say you can say he or she is a very wise person. So what is wisdom? There's a difference between wisdom and intelligence. And intelligence means the sharpness of thinking, of memory, of being able to distinguish one from the other. This is what sharpness is. This is intelligence. But the wisdom is something more than intelligence. It is an innate sense that this is what should be done. And intelligence is part of it, but not even the wise person may not be classically intelligent. You may not have I remember this in observing Swami Dayanandji over the last 2.5 years when I was living with him. What I would find is that many times his analysis of the world events, etc., were not very sharp. And the reason is that he was not an expert in those things. He was he's a participant in life, and some of the students would understand politics or economics much better than Swamiji. So he was never really that sharp in doing them. And yet his wisdom of the overall macro sense of what life is was unmatched. Unmatched. Nobody could argue with him. This is what wisdom is. So here in this Mundaka Upanishad mantra, Pariksha Lokan, it talks about the wisdom of a human being. Who really is a wise person? And it says, let the wise person view life in its variety, in all of the things that it offers you, and think about what is good, what is bad. And so here it says, Pariksha Lokan. Lokan means all the experiences of your life. Karmachitan. Karmachitan means established by karma, which is possible by doing things. You do things. This is what life is all about. You have desires, you have plans, and you do things. And then you observe to see how the results of the doing is. And the inevitable conclusion is it might have helped, but it is not enough. I have to do some more things. This is what life's experiences are all about. So it says that may the person, instead of headlong be busy in doing the next thing, sit back and just close the eyes and say, what am I doing? What is it really giving me? Where am I? Am I going in the right direction? So pariksha lokan karmachitan ayat brahmanaha. Here brahmanaha means one who has some tinges of wisdom in it. Na asti akritaha kritena. See, he comes to the realization, obviously suggested by the Shastra. No one can figure it out by themselves. Only the hints have to be given by the Shastra. So this is why they say that Brahman is Aupanishadam Brahman. Can only be born in the Upanishads. It's not available anyplace else. What can we say? No. Aupanishadam Brahman. So you have a sense that I am what I am. I am not the product of doing. I am the doer, not the product of doing. And so what am I doing by doing? Because I am what I am. Pariksha lokan karmachitan ayat brahmanaha nasti akritaha kritena. Kritena akritaha nasti. The akritaha means one which is not happening, which is already there. It cannot be done by happening. And so you have a little sense of it. So in order to really say, is this true? And to understand this very clearly, tat vijnana artham gurumeva vigachet. May you approach somebody who understands this dilemma. And that person should be Brahmanishtam, Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. It goes through all of that. Then, so this is from the Mundaka Upanishad. All the Upanishads in one form or the other. Then in the Kathopanishad, the story of Nachiketas, beautiful story. And so here Yamaraja, very pleased with his satyam, because he told his father that you had promised Yama that you will give me to Yama. And the father said, I was just joking. And the son said, Dad, you are not the joking kind. When you say something, you have a personality that you will always go through with it. You already told Yama that you are going to give me to Yama. Now do this. Yama means the Lord of Death. And so he approached Yama, and Yama was busy. So he sat there for 3 nights, and Yama asked him, I give you 3 boons for the 3 nights that I could not see you. Please ask for it. So one of the Yamas, so he told about the fact that my father will also not feel bad about losing me, etc., etc. But then he says, I want Atma Jnana. And so Yama said, oh my gosh, that is very big. I'm not sure. Why don't you just enjoy life? So Preyas, just enjoy life. I'll give you anything you want. But don't ask for Atma Jnana. And Nachiketas tells him, listen, you think I've done all this just to do this? To have some pleasure in life? No. I want the real stuff and I'm not going to give up until you. So he says, preyasya shreyascha manushya ete, something like that. I don't remember the mantra. And so this vairagya towards preyas is something which is the wisdom of Nachiketas. So Nachiketa also said the same thing. Then in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, so this Shamadhi Shakka Sampatti is talked about. And so what I'm doing here is that the backing for the correct interpretation of the words is not arbitrary. It is specifically mentioned in the various Shastra, and not just one Upanishad, but in many, many Upanishads. Very consistent. There is no inconsistency. And so, in the case of the Shatka Sampatti, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad talks about Shantaha Dantaha Uparataha Titikshuhu Atma Pashyet. Anyway, there's some more details about different shakhas of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I won't go into that. So, we can now conclude, what does the Atha Shabda mean? Athato Brahma Jigyasa, the Atha Shabda can be concluded to say it summarizes the sadhana chatushtaya. Viveka Vairagya Shatka Sampattihi and Mumukshutvam is called sadhana chatushtaya. Fourfold qualifications. So the Atha Shabda means having equipped yourself, however you came to it, either through the knocks of life or by chance meeting the right person, whatever. There are a variety of different ways. But the main point is, you have now equipped yourself with these four things, then you are qualified to do Shastra Vichara Kartavya. And it's interesting, I remember early on in our Shastra, in our learning, I remember this so well, my own attitudes and how and I used to say, this is good, Viveka, Vairagya, and so on. So I think I have it. It's okay. I have it. And so let's go on with the study. This is part of the fooling yourself. It is kind of like declaring victory too soon. It didn't happen. I didn't have sufficient viveka, sufficient vairagya, sufficient shakka sampatti, sufficient mukshutva. And so things in terms of clarity, what clarity really means, it's easy to use the word clarity. Clarity means that the entire Shastra is not academic. It is real for me. This is what clarity means. This is what called aparoksha anubhuti. So this clarity doesn't come suddenly. And even a little bit of the clarity is very, what's the word I would use? It's very self-satisfying, and therefore you stop. You feel that's good. This is better than I've anything done before. So the striving for improving the viveka, the sadhana chatushtaya stops. And this is a problem because your some of the fundamental attitude towards people, things and so on are still there. You need to resolve those. And so until you have, so this is what he said, that until your mind gets cleaned up from all the ragadveshas, the clarity doesn't come. But once you keep doing it, you find you are going in the right direction, and that intensifies your search. So in my life also I found that if you just are patient, yes, they were false signals of yes, I have achieved, when I had not yet achieved, and I still have not achieved. But if you keep moving in that direction, then you find that the fundamental aspects of sadhana chatushtaya are very valid. You don't take it for granted. You improve your qualifications continuously. And so this is how the mumukshutvam becomes more real. And now no one has to tell me what I need to do. I have myself an idea of what I need to do. I'm not dependent on anyone else. Very clear to me. The goal is very clear. I'm not quite there yet, but just getting there, the pleasantness of the journey is remarkable. So this is what is the meaning of the Atha Shabda is. So in short, the Atha Shabda is Sadhana Chatushtaya Anantarya. This is what Shankara Bhashya will also be saying. That it is the thereafter of the preparation for learning. Okay, so with that, let me close the class, say the prayers, and have some time for discussion. Om Rahu Grasta Divankarendu Sadrisho Maya Samachadinat Sanmatra Karanopasamharnato Yo Bhut Pushuktaf Puman Pragaswapsamiti Prabodha Samaye Yav Pratyabhigyayate Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye Balyadishu api Jagradadishu Tatha Sarva Swavastha Swapi Vyavritta Svanuvartamanamahamityanta Spurantam Sada Swatmanam Prakati Karoti Bhajatam Yo Mudraya Bhadraya Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye Vishwam Pashyati Karya Karanataya Swaswami Sambandataha Shishyacharya Tathaiva Putratyatmana Bhedataha Swapne Jagrati Vaya Esha Purusho Maya Paribhramitaha Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye Bhurambhamsya Nalo Nilo Ambar Maharnartho Himanshu Puman Itya Bhati Chara Charatmakamidam Yasyaiva Murtyashtakam Nanyat Kinchina Vidyate Vimrishatam Yasmat Parasmat Vibho Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshina Murtaye Sarvatvamiti Sprutikritamidam Yasmatamishmunstave Tenasya Shravanat Dattamananat Dhyanatya Sankirtanat Sarvatmatva Mahavibhuti Sahitam Syadishwaratvam Swataha Siddhyetat Punarashtadha Parimatam Jaishwaryam Avyahatam Ashubhani Nirachaste Tanoti Shubhasantatim Smriti Matrena Yat Pumsam Brahmatan Mangalam Param Ati Kalyana Rupatvat Nitya Kalyana Samshrayat Smartranam Varadatvat Cha Brahmatat Mangalam Viduhu Omkaraschatha Shabdascha Dvavetau Brahmanah Pura Taskantham Bhitva Viniryatau Tasman Mangilakau Vubhau Atha Om Atha Om Atha Om Atha. Let's do the ending prayer also. Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Good. I'm happy you were all able to connect. I don't know what happened, and I don't know whether you had to switch to the new YouTube or not. So I was a little concerned whether that, but no one actually sent me a message, so I assume that it worked out okay. So I'm not sure what the problem was, but anyway, I'm very happy that you all connected with the class, and very happy to see also all of you here. So wonderful. And I don't see any questions per se that I could respond. I'll wait another minute or so to see if you have any. So in the next few classes, I will send you the text for the first sutra. In fact, I might send you the entire all the 4 sutras from IIT Kanpur. I'll make a file out of it and send it to you. Okay, Chola, yes, you had to switch your YouTube again. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea when that would be, what happened. Surjit, any update on when you would have a Zoom? I think the issue is that I have to learn how to. I haven't had the time, but somehow learning to operate the Zoom so I can control things and so on hasn't happened. Raj Paripatyadar has already given us the instructions. I need to really look into that. But since you asked, then that gives me an impetus, and I will try to do it. sometime. I don't know when. I can't promise the exact date, but I would like to do it. Punita, yes, you have to switch to Vikram. Is jigyasa just mumukshutvam from an intense desire for freedom, or does it include all sadhanas? So here in the context it is mumukshutvam is for mumukshutvam. So what this means is, it's a good question. See, what happens is that all of us are desirous of freedom. It's very obvious that no one wants to be controlled. The idea of having ananda and freedom are synonymous. Freedom means ananda. Non-freedom means anananda. So that being the case, everybody is a mumukshu of some kind or the other. Everyone is a desirer of freedom, isn't it? Now what happens in this case is that you channel the desire for freedom into something that is systematically working for you. In fact, I would say this kind of happened to me when I spent a couple of years learning from Swami Chinmayananji. And it was, what it did for me was that it gave me an idea that Vedanta is worth studying. And this feeling intensified when I met Swami Dayanandji. That was obviously through Swami Chinmayananji. And Swami Dayanand was available to come to the US and stay here for 2 years. Swami Chinmayananji was not. And so that made the difference. But this feeling that this can be systematically learned, that really awakened a new way of looking at Vedanta for me. So much so that I decided to take a leave of absence from HP to do that. And I could not have done so had I not been very clear that this can be learned. It's not just, anything. It can be systematically improved upon. So, Vikram, so what happened was, from a mumukshu, I became a jigyasu. So, mumukshu, anyone is a mumukshu. But what really made my life focused was, I want to know how. Jnatum ichchuhu. So this is, I think that the first sutra, Thato Brahma Jigyasa, really speaks to that kind of a transformation in one's life. That everybody is a mumukshu. Mumukshu is, of course, a very intense desire, and the intense desire cannot be done until you have a very good idea of what is to be done. But everybody is a casual mumukshu, if I can. This is not the right thing to say, but you have a desire of freedom. But to have that desire of freedom transform into a desire for learning how to be free is the jigyasa of the first Sutra. Madhu, good. I will make sure that I have. I think I just have the first sutra for now, but I just thought about it. I will put all the 4 sutras into a file, and I need to download it from IIT Kanpur site somewhere there. I have it also, and I will do that. So thank you. Okay, all right. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. Om.